Alright guys, welcome back to JBSR Plays It. This one's going to be a quick one. I don't have a ton of time to do a full hour-long podcast. I'm sorry about that. If you haven't checked it out, though, I've already talked about each and every single one of the teams this week at great length. I did a two-parter, turned into a two-parter, mid-season power rankings. Both of those are already up. So if you want to know more about my thoughts on each of the teams, you can check that one out. And also mid-season awards. So what I'm going to do this week, though, is I'm going to do things a little differently. Normally, I would just straight up pick who's going to win, who's going to lose. But we've been doing this. I live in Massachusetts. We've been doing this for a little while. They passed the law a few years back where casinos were legalized and gambling and yada, yada, yada. I don't know if I can bet on sports books. I don't really like gambling anyways. But this week at the elections, it was passed. They kept reforming in Springfield, where I live. MGM was approved for a casino. It got voted on before. They approved it, and then for some reason they decided to throw it back on the ballot. Trying one last-ditch effort to get rid of it. It didn't work. So by 2017, I believe is the year they said, there will be a casino. Literally, I'm not going to be here, but I'm not exaggerating, 7-minute drive from where I live. It's going right across the street from the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. So, in honor of that, I'm going to pick against the spread this week. And also, before I start this off, before I really start making the picks, two things. Number one, you guys know my buddy Eric, Bucs fan. He's the one who designed the new JBSR Plays It logo. He put up his own little picks video, and I'll link to it in the description, because I'll probably forget to put an annotation up. Shots fired. He basically came out, intentionally picked against the Bills because he knew I'd pick against the Buccaneers this week. And basically, yeah, shots fired against me. Whatever. Eventually, I think what's going to happen is, I put this up on Twitter, we're either going to have dueling podcasts, or we'll just inevitably do what I've wanted to do this whole time, and just both of us do this podcast. He's got school and everything, and now I'm a new father, so it's not like it's just easy enough to be like, oh, hey, we're both just sitting around doing nothing all day. Let's do this podcast. It's a little more complicated than that, but hopefully we can work something out. I think we might do a test run during the playoffs. So that happened, and then also I got a comment, and this has been a thought in my head for a while, asking if I was going to do an actual franchise and not just this being a quarterback. I will say, when I first started playing this, I've always sort of traditionally done standard franchise mode. I've been doing it for years. I never really, way back in ESPN 2K5, what I would do is I would create, I'd pick a team and I'd just create players. So, I think I was always, the Raiders or something, and I'd release, half the roster, and then, me and my friends, I'd just create, I'd be the running back. I had another friend who was, strong safety. We just do stuff like that. Doing a custom just a custom player in this connected franchise mode, or even just back in regular franchise mode, it was never really a big fan of. I did a little more this year, but I'm already sick of it because I'm looking around. I'm looking at my team. I appreciate Jordan Cameron as a weapon right here, but I don't understand why I have Reggie Bush and the 76 rated halfback rookie behind Doug Martin. I don't understand. I've done Bills quarterback franchises, and then, the next season, I do not have a running back because Fred Jackson retired, and they let C.J. Spiller go. So, I've been thinking for a while about switching this over, just doing a regular franchise. I just call it the Madden Connected Franchise Podcast. I'd probably just drop it down like the Madden Podcast, even though it's really just an NFL podcast. Let me know what you guys think. I don't even know if it's necessary. I know it's not interesting, really, what's on the screen. I will say that I am very much so a team builder. I'm not someone I'm going to create a franchise and just jump in, and with the roster I have, there's going to be a lot of changing schemes, trading players. And then let me know if you guys have any opinions on which team I should play as. By default, I would go with the Bills, but the Bills don't have a first round pick, and their offensive line is terrible. And I need a quarterback. I'd bump up the difficulty. I'm sort of at the point where I'm better than a rookie player on Madden. I can play it on Pro. I adjust the sliders. I'm sure with the way I adjust the sliders, I could probably play it on all Madden. I'm not going to do that. But let me know what team you guys think I should play as. I don't want to do the Bucs. I'm doing the Bucs now. I'm sick of looking at the Bucs. And let me know. I was originally. I was going to switch it up anyways. I think after like the Super Bowl and everything, because I'm planning on doing like one podcast a week during the off season, assuming there's enough news. But let me know. This will probably be the last time you see the Buccaneers play. So this podcast is going to be long enough for you to see the conclusion of this game. But let me know if you guys have any opinions. If not, I'm sure I'll pick someone. The Raiders are sounding really tempting. Because I'm going to be playing right off the bat. And having Derek Carr, as much the offensive line sucks and I have no wide receivers, I can get around that. I like speed receivers. I can get Tavon Austin pretty cheap. So I can use him as a receiving option for now and sort of build up everything else through the draft later. So let me know what you guys think, if you think I should play as another team. I'd like to play as somebody who I have to actually build up a little bit. I'm not going to play as the Broncos or play as the Patriots or the Packers, something like that, Bears are a team that slightly interests me, just because Jay Cutler's terrible. And then after one season, because of his age in Madden, he just drops. So let me know who you think I should pick, and I will probably stick with this franchise for quite a while, probably even until Madden 16, honestly. This one might last a while. So let me know. But anyways, let's get into the games. We already had the Thursday night game. You know my rule, I was going to pick the Bengals. And even with the point spread, I think it was like -6 for the Bengals. I would have picked that. Leah still was in attendance. It was a beautiful thing. It was emotional. And I honestly thought that emotion would carry the Bengals to a victory. They were at home. They played really well at home. I thought, I didn't think they were going to blow out the Browns, but I figured winning by a touchdown, they could do it. And instead, they get destroyed 24-3. Andy Dalton puts up one of the worst performances a quarterback could possibly put up. So that's unfortunate that night was spoiled for that, but the Browns 6-3 without Jordan Cameron, without Josh Gordon, obviously, and with Alex Mack out for the year. They're at 6-3. They're in a good spot. They play a last play schedule, so they've got a kind of soft schedule from here on out. So, could make some noise. That division, who knows? You could literally sell me on any of the 4 teams in the AFC North to win the division, and I wouldn't have an argument against it. So I don't know who's going to win that division. I think the Browns have an easier schedule because I think I don't know what the Browns have played for division games. They're all kind of beating each other up though. Like I think they're all like, because the Steelers are like 2-2, Ravens are 2-3, and I think now that's I think it's like 2-1 or something for the Bengals. Something I don't know, but that AFC North, that'll be interesting to watch. And I'm just waiting. I want to see if someone pulls away because I'm still not sold on the Steelers. So first game up here, the one that Eric wanted to bash me about. Chiefs at the Bills. Bills coming off a bye. Chiefs are favored by 2. I think this is going to be a close game. I thought the line was only 1. Did the line go up? But either way, I'm taking the Bills in this because I think the Bills will win outright. I felt more comfortable at one point because I thought, the Bills win. It has a feeling of like a 20-18 game. So I was like 1 point, okay, but now 2 might push. By the way, I don't really understand gambling. I don't understand spreads. So don't be surprised if I go 0 for this week. But taking the Bills at home, coming off a bye. I know Andy Reid's good in November, but, I do like this Chiefs team. Did I have, what I have, number 10, number 11 on my power rankings? They were up there, so I do think this team is legitimate, but I think the Bills coming off a bye, the Bills are at home. And again, hopefully Sammy Watkins does play. And Fred Jackson should be back, so the only thing that concerns me, the Bills have a terrible offensive line, and that is very easy to take advantage of. We got Cordy Glenn, the left tackle. He's legitimate, and then the rest. Eric Wood. He's a good leader at center, but That's, the rest of it is upgradable positions or young guys or undrafted. The offensive line was solid for a couple of years, and now it's just sort of falling apart. Next up, we got the big game. Dolphins at Lions. The line is Detroit is favored by 3. A lot of people are really high on the Lions or the Dolphins right now. But here's my thinking. I trust Matthew Stafford more than I trust Tannehill. I know Stafford doesn't look that good. But Golden Tate has looked solid. You've got Calvin Johnson coming back. And if he can keep it balanced and get both of those guys in the mix, they have the best defense in the NFL. And the Dolphins have a really good top 5, top 4, top 3 defense as well. But it comes down to the offense, and I think they can have a really dangerous offense if everything's clicking. I think Reggie Bush is back too, so Lions, if everyone plays up to that, I could see the Lions covering this, but it's at 3. This could be a field goal game. So, this has got to be something like 24 or 28-24. That's what we're looking at for a score. I'm not going to pick scores. I'm not going to get that in depth. Come on now. Next up, in London, we got the Cowboys technically at the Jaguars, but it's in London. The line is Dallas minus 7.5. That's a lot of points. Tony Romo's coming off an injury. Jaguars are playing pretty tough, though. I'm going to take the Jaguars against the spread. I think I think the Cowboys win, but I think it'll be... Cowboys don't play blowouts, so I can see the Cowboys winning like 30-17, something like that, not covering. That's where I think the game's going to go. Oh, no, not this. That means I have to pay attention. And not really a lot else to say. It'll be interesting to see what's going on with Tony Romo. I am a Romo defender. I've said that before, because I still think he's better than probably 15 or 20 other guys in this league at any given time. Next up, 49ers at the Saints. 2 4-4 teams that everyone thought was going to be juggernauts, including myself. Line is Saints minus 6. Now, here's where it gets difficult, because I think the Saints will win this game, but I don't think they'll cover. So I think I'll take the 49ers for the sake of the points. But I don't. I don't think they're going to cover this one. I think it'll be something like 35-30 or something like that. Like just enough to not cover. So I'll go with the Saints in this one. And the 49ers just don't look good. It's one of those deals like they're supposed to be good. Everyone's like, oh, everyone's just rooting against them. No, I think they just legitimately are not good. And everyone's just waiting for them to break through. And I don't think it's going to happen this year. Not that I think that, Eric say I'm sipping the Kool-Aid of the Saints. He's a Bucs fan. He's required to hate the entirety of the NFC South. I understand that. I am not sipping the Kool-Aid on at least this game. I'm not saying they will go 12-4. But it's a legitimate shot because they've got a fairly favorable schedule. But I think this one they should be able to win, because this is a 49ers team just in complete turmoil. Next up, we got the Ravens hosting the Tennessee Titans. The line is Ravens minus 10. This is tough because the Ravens win in blowouts. The Ravens will win this one, and they win in blowouts. Zach Mettenberger is a quarterback. Yeah, I'm going to... Oh, it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. But I think the Ravens cover. I think the Ravens will cover on this. I think they could win by 2 touchdowns. I think that's a possibility. So I'll take the Ravens in this. I'm picking against the spread this week. So I'm throwing out my usual traditions of I'm picking against the Ravens every week. Only because of the spread. And because, let's be honest, it's the Titans. I was honestly going to pick the Ravens in this even if I was just doing traditional picks. Because the Titans are just that terrible. I could not... I mean, what did I have? Like number 30? Number 29? Something like that in my power rankings? I had one win teams ranked ahead of them. Next up, we've got the Steelers going to New York to play against the Jets. The line is only 4.5 points. That seems a little odd. That it's only 4.5 points. Roethlisberger is not going to throw 6 touchdowns in this game. That is not even a distinct possibility. But I think the Steelers will cover. So the Jets, man, they gotta hope it's not a blackout. The rumors are going, the rumblings are that if this is a blowout loss by the Jets, that you could see Rex Ryan gone on Monday, Idzik gone on Monday. It's their bye week. You could see a lot of changes coming through, and that would be unfortunate. Considering this is actually Rex Ryan's second or third consecutive lame duck season, to see it end this way because of Idzik's downfalls. And Rex Ryan's gone. It's not his fault. He's terrible at developing talent and hiring offensive coordinators, and that sucks. But he was given nothing to work with these last couple of years. They had to clean house because the salary cap was so screwed that they had to clean house last year. And this year, they had the money. They didn't offer any short-term deals to any sort of veterans who they could have gotten on the cheap. So they're paying a price for it now. Again, Champ Bailey was out there. Jabari Greer retired early on. You had some guys who could have stepped in, at least for some leadership. I'm not saying Champ Bailey would have solidified that secondary, but you're telling me he can't mentor D. Molina, who has been struggling since he was drafted? I think he could step in and help. Next up, we got Eric. Here we go. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Atlanta Falcons. The line is Atlanta -3. I know this one was -1 at one point. The line has jumped up to Atlanta -3. So, Eric, you want to go ahead and pick the Bills because you think that I'm going to pick against the Buccaneers, and that's how you're going to spite me? Well, the joke's on you, buddy. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Buccaneers in this one. I think Glennon should have been the choice over Josh McCown. I really do. But the Falcons have 3 great offensive skill players. They've actually gotten worse as the season went on. That blowout against the Buccaneers, they've gone so far downhill since then. And Gerald McCoy is a beast. Levante David is a beast. They've got a halfway decent secondary, or at least one good secondary player. And the Buccaneers, it is tough to pick them because one of the things, and I forgot to mention this to my dear friend Eric as to why I had the Buccaneers ranked number 32 in the league. They had a fire sale. They literally just traded off all of their not all their assets, but they cleaned house at the trade deadline. They were the only team active, and it's not like you can't say that they traded away all-star caliber players, but a first-round pick 2 years ago in Mark Barron, they traded him off. So they had a little bit of a fire sale. So it's a team that doesn't exactly have a ton of talent. Obviously it's not someone that they're going to miss, and he's not a really good fit for the system, which tells me that Lovie Smith will be there next season. And that is the best thing going for the Buccaneers. At least there will be some continuity, even if most of the players have changed. Whee, Doug Martin, go flying in the air. But yes, Eric, I will pick the Buccaneers to cover to win. And even if they don't win, even if they lose by 2, I still win. So the Buccaneers could lose and I could still win. Although, and this will tie into the next game. What I would say to Eric is, what if the Raiders upset the Broncos and the Buccaneers lose to the Falcons? Get blown out 56-17 again. Then can I make the point that they're the worst team in the league? Although I will say right now, these rankings are made in the whole season. I have a feeling that by the end of the season, the Jets will be the number 32 team. Especially if Rex gets fired next week. The Jets will probably be at that number 32 spot. I think the Raiders will win a couple of games. So coming up, speaking of them Raiders, Broncos are going to Oakland against the 0-8 Raiders. Poor Raiders. They really are. They are better than 0-8. They really are. They're playing close. They they say they almost had anyone, but it's funny. If they go 0-16 and the Jets go 1-15, that week 1 game is huge. And I said that before, but it really is hilarious how things can work out that way. Now the line is Denver -12. It's a huge mark, and you got to think, oh well, Denver, they'll cover that. They'll win by 2 touchdowns. They just got shown up by New England. They're going to be a force to reckon with. Here's the thing: Denver has been playing down to their competition. They really have been. Like they have taken second halves off when they're coasting to a lead. I don't think in any way, shape, or form that the Raiders win this game. Although it's a division game, you always got to factor that could happen. The line is -12. I'm going to go with the Raiders in this one. I think the Raiders, I don't think the Broncos can cover. I think they can win by 10. But 12? You're going to give me 12? No, that's too many points. Considering the way some teams can play back in. And the Raiders play tough. And Derek Carr looks good. I mean, there's a reason why I want to play as the Raiders when I do this franchise. I've done Raiders franchises before, but I think I can really, I've given up on them because I like to simulate my games. I don't actually like to play them. But if I'm playing, you're telling me that I can legitimately make Derek Carr a 5,000-yard passer for 50 touchdowns and maybe a handful of picks, 65, 70% completion percentage, and I can make him perform well. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. But I really like Derek Carr. Like I said, I love the story. I feel bad that he dropped the second round because of his brother and that pedigree. And I feel like there's going to be 31 other teams that are going to kick themselves for passing on this guy. Well, I will say this. The Bills trading 2 number ones for Sammy Watkins, if they make the playoffs, it's not going to look nearly as bad because Sammy Watkins is really good. So maybe the Bills don't necessarily kick themselves for passing on him. Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple other teams who are like, we didn't really need Derek Carr. But he is easily the best quarterback in this class. The 2013 draft class, Mike Glennon is the best quarterback from that class. Yep. That's all you need to know. And after that, I don't know if you make... After that, you're literally splitting hairs between Geno Smith and E.J. Manuel, and I don't even know anyone else who got drafted. Next game up, we got Arizona Cardinals playing at home against the St. Louis Rams. The line here is Arizona -7, and I really like Arizona. I really do. But not only do the Rams play close, but the Rams play division games really close. I don't think they'll pull this one off because the Cardinals are basically what we thought the Seahawks would be at home. I like the Rams in this not to win, but I think they can keep it under a touchdown. I think they can keep it under a touchdown for a fun, 26-20, something like that. The Cardinals don't win, and they're not really big on the blowout wins unless you're playing Brandon Weeden at quarterback. So I could see this going that way. I could see a close game. And honestly, if the Cardinals lose here to the Rams, I won't be shocked either, because the Rams have just been playing division opponents that close. Next up, we've got the New York Giants at the Seahawks. The line is Seahawks -9.5. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Giants in this one. The Seahawks just have not looked good, not even at home. I think the Seahawks will win this one, but not by 10. Nope. They'll win it by 4, 5. Giants. What's funny is that the Giants actually have a good chance in this one because the Seahawks last year looked awfully similar to those two Giants Super Bowl teams. And I know the Giants have been inconsistent everywhere and are not really that good on the road, but I think they can keep it close here. The Giants will come prepared. Next up, we've got the Bears at the Packers. The line is Green Bay -7. I'm going to go with the Packers on this one. I think this is going to be a blowout. I am a famous Jay Cutler. Well, not famous, but I have hated Jay Cutler since the beginning of the season. I thought that they were going to do terrible since the beginning of the season. I picked the Bills for that reason, and also because I'm a homer. And 0-3 at Green Bay all time for Jay Cutler. It's not going to look good. And I'd say that the Packers are coming off the bye, but so are the Bears. But I feel like the Packers will do more with that time. Mike McCarthy's got a contract extension. He might just be the luckiest head coach in the entirety of the NFL. Because he kind of, the joke was always that Andy Reid, Yeah, they were winning, but no one was really sure how. That's how I feel about Mike McCarthy. I don't really feel like he's a great head coach. I just feel like he's got a good team, and he lucked into it. And he lucked into a once-in-a-lifetime talent in Aaron Rodgers. I think that's what happened. So, I think the Packers will annihilate the Bears at home. The Bears, there are going to be a lot of yards, though, because neither one of these teams wants to play defense in any way. And then finally, we got the Monday night game. Carolina Panthers are at the Eagles. The line is Eagles -7. And this is a tough one because a lot of people are saying, and I've probably said it too, that, is Mark Sanchez really a downgrade from Nick Foles? Is he an upgrade? Is he this? Is he that? I think Mark Sanchez can do well in the system. I don't necessarily think that he's going to magically become a top 10 quarterback in the league and, warrant $20 million a year in his next deal, but I think he can do well, filling in for Nick Foles. I think he's in a better position than he was during most, if not all, of his career in New York, so I think he'll do well. Now, the question is, do I think they will cover? Yes, because I think the Panthers, their offense isn't great, and their defense is just not playing where they need to be. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Eagles to cover here. So anyways, I know it's a short podcast. We're only at 26 minutes or so. Say goodbye to the Buccaneers. This will be the last time you see him on this podcast. I'm sorry, Eric. This is not a case of me hating the Buccaneers or anything like that. This is a case of I'm just kind of sick of this franchise. I barely even pay attention to the game anymore. And if I'm not having fun playing it, if I'm not invested in this whatsoever, I can't imagine you guys are that invested. So, for the sake of the people who aren't coming here to listen to me talk about the actual NFL and give my opinion, want to see some gameplay, none of these games will be close because I'm not going to throw it on all Madden because then I'm going to be too focused on that to talk about the games. This is just something to sort of go on in the background. Sort of what he evolved into. Originally, it was going to be about a franchise. And maybe one of these days, I was going to do a Madden 25 podcast. Or not really a podcast, just like a franchise mode there. That's sort of where this whole idea came from. And I can put one of, I think I filmed like 3 episodes of that. I never aired it. Maybe I'll put one of those up just so you guys can see the original intent of what this was going to be. I personally found it just boring as hell, and that's why it never went up. So, yeah. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Say goodbye to the Bucs. We had a good run. I'm not going to delete the franchise or anything, and maybe one day if you guys want to see me get one more Super Bowl, win one for the Gipper, or maybe I'll just sim for 10 years and to see where this, where it ends up at the end of my fake avatar's career. We'll see what happens. Could be interesting. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe. I promise the rest of them are usually about an hour long, like a real podcast. But like I said, I'm just sort of trying to rush through this real quick. I've got stuff to do. And I'm sick of talking about these teams. This is the 4th podcast that's going up this week. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'll put a link down below to Eric's video. You can listen to him mocking me and all that good stuff. And then let me know in the comments if you guys have an opinion on what team I should play a standard franchise as. I'm going to go with a head coach. I don't like owner mode because you have to make money. It seems like a kind of broken system because every time I do it, I ended up like $20 million in the hole and won't let me sign anybody. So I'm not going to do owner mode. I'm just going to be a head coach. And it's not going to be under my name because all of the white guys, number one, none of them look like me. And number 2, they all kind of look like kind of creepy. So I'll just make up a random name or something like that. But let me know what team you guys want to see. I'll probably flip through the roster update just went up today or yesterday. So I'll flip through and I'll see what team looks good. I'm leaning towards the Raiders just for Derek Carr, but there are other possibilities. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.